From the glowing door, a fitness junkie lady holding a bow steps out into the world filled with stress, calories, and no such thing as exercise. Tomotsu Naoya informs the director, Akio Ino, that he has done arranging the shelves. But this lady with big melons requests him to stay for an hour. Out of the blue, this hottie is at a halt when she welcomes a greasy blob, Alfuda, who comes for her session. Akio is creeped out by this big girl and throws her to Naoya. Taking charge, he figures she is here for the Diet Saitai course, but her emerald eyes and big ears say she is a half-foreigner. With back pain and belly aches, this lady finds it impossible to go back to Kappa Forest looking like this. Piecing the details, Naoya jumps a mile high in shock to see an elf before him. Slapping himself back into his senses, he directs Alfuda to lie on her belly with no jacket. But this lady thinks it's a stripping zone and gets her shirt off. After clearing her up, Naoya's grip on her waist makes her scream a little too hard, as if her soul is taking off, and that continues throughout the session. Naoya can't help but love her cute squeaks, and he has overdone it. Suddenly, he spots her huge ears, and Alfuda, still a blob, declares to be an elf. Well, the lad is freaked out, but her clothes ripping off in a split second makes him turn away from this reality. That said, he rushes to get her a change of clothes. Turns out that this elf stepped out of the entrance from the parallel world and became a girl rocking some extra curves here. She mentions the gate won't let her in if she is this size. Upon asking, Naoya gets a reality check when he hears this chick's grand adventure here is just to check out fries. With no culinary profess, the elf community looks to be surviving on boiled, fried, and sometimes raw stuff. Those seasonings she mentions sound like they're worth more than gold there, especially if her kin is all about surviving on vegetables. This takes her here in culinary heaven to try out fried potatoes sprinkled with snow-like salt. Thus, she declares French fries as God's divine food that befalls them. Naoya gets that her people have no resistance to food here and cannot stop themselves from eating junk. And that's the reason for her becoming a girl with built-in huggable softness. Alfuda just announced her Operation Shred to lose all the fat with the help of this world's knowledge. Not to mention, she holds Naoya responsible as a citizen here, which creeps him out. From there on, Alfuda's diet regimen sets on its course with jogging and exercise. Suddenly, Naoya spots Alfuda taking a French fries break and snaps that packet right out of her hands. There he breaks the harsh news of her diet plan that says no to junk food and eats veggies only. Moreover, he explains that they must take control of her calorie intake. That said, the fountain of tears flows until she accepts this harsh reality and gets down to business. Putting her on physical balance and diet restriction programs, he bets that will do the trick. Akio praises her hard work while she fights the battle of cravings for fries. While Naoya thinks in a short time, this chick might develop a good metabolism. That said, Akio takes the blondie elf to the bathhouse for the half-body bathing technique for weight loss. About to grab a drink, Diet Police swoops in at the right time. Naoya tells her the only option is water. 1 month later, Naoya is pretty much thrown off guard to see Alfuda as the new hottie in town. So this former blob and now hotshot elf chick thanks a ton to Naoya for his help. Looking at her outfit, Naoya figures this girl is finally taken off to wherever she came from. With a quick smile, she hopes to score one last bag of fries before going home. Naoya bets he will never see this elf chick again. Afterward, Naoya, after informing Akio of taking a break, heads straight in for a happy meal at Bad Burger in memory of Alfuda, hoping that girl is doing alright. He is damn sure that chick might have cooked some French fries there to gain extra layers. Suddenly, he bumps into a girl with a little extra bounce. Shaken to the bone, Naoya spots Alfuda inhaling the fries like a vacuum cleaner. Turns out that this chick broke the code and figured the gate only has weight restrictions. While Naoya is feeling bummed, Alfuda is all excited, knowing about the weight loss tricks, and decides to go all in on fries. More importantly, she rests herself in his care again. Apparently, Naoya lives in this world among creatures from another world as well. Working at the Smiley Boar, the relaxation salon, which advises for exercises, proper guidance, and dieting purposes, runs into customers from other worlds. Naoya tells this chick that fries are off the limits for her while explaining it's a relaxing salon. However, she mumbles about fries proving to be her way of relaxing. But Naoya breaks the ice that she has rebounded in far worse condition, with fries being the biggest culprit. To top it all off, this greaseball slams her theory about soda and lack of exercise, taking her to this extreme. On the other hand, Alfuda declares boldly that she has gone through one challenge and can do it again. but the lad snatches the bag of fries right away and gets this ball of curves moving on. There he states that calorie deficit and exercising are the basics of keeping a healthy diet. Then Naoe wishes to teach her a handy trick to let her keep going. So he drops the bond steps to get an A-level body, which is stretching, and some light exercises to trim down twice a day. However, this chick doubts those light exercises are going to hit those fat blocks. Starting on with wrist and ankle stretches, Naoe happily instructs slowly, but that ditzy elf is thumb wrestling with herself. Next, she does Achilles tendon stretches on both sides, but fails badly at push-ups. Letting her know that the body's metabolism worsens with a stiff, hard body, he rolls her on flexibility training. To slim down the stomach, Naoe puts her on a muscle training routine for some sweaty sit-up sets. With a water break, Alfuda is back on her second set and sees a bunch of stars like a drunkard after that. Moving on with planks 2 sets, Naoe bets this to be an easy treat for beginners to attack many muscles for 30 seconds. Letting out her fired-up spirit, Alfuda believes she can round those in 1 hour. She decides to show everyone what elves are really like and are more than just stories. Up on her first try, this silly girl couldn't even hold herself without vibrating like her mother's old hairdryer. After falling like a big sack of potatoes, she gasps for breath. Naoe wonders if she got this or not. That said, Naoe breaks this session by sharing tips and tricks to lose weight much faster. He guarantees that her stomach will shrink in size in a few days if she does all these things, although Naoe assures this ditzy girl can grab a good show while exercising. Afterward, Naoe gets her back on track with plank's second set, which she finishes rather quickly. Moving on, this smiley boar's lad initiates her cooling down period with deep breathing to let the oxygen flow to the brain and rest. Though Naoe knows his stuff, it looks like he has got a whole plan ready to cut down this baddie's extra layers. Even though Alfuda just got out after 5 minutes, she is the laziest of all, but she had a helping hand. Naoe watches Alfuda get pumped about due to calories approval. Alfuda has made up her mind to kick back the calories and get the hotshot elven body back. Due to transforming into a full glop, she hopes to have tasty fries right after the exercise. Up to this pointless task of pushing her into this tight regime, this goofball declares that calorie betrayal is some real stuff with her, especially. Just then, this puddle of fat whips out another packet of fries. Naoe is fed up with her avoiding her calorie intake. After all, calories can fool anyone, even an elf from another world. With that said, today's exercise special session has come to an end. A hot babe is channeling her voodoo magic to summon a weird dummy doll, but in this way, her bra strap gets snapped and the dummy doll takes a walkabout. Naoe decides to catch a movie on his off day. Stepping into the store, he spots Kuroda, whom he never thought would come across here. After that, he picks up a nice popcorn flavor until he notices a weird-looking dummy dwarf throwing a hissy fit at him. Just then, a shadow of a fierce, mad woman lurches on his tiny body until he sees Kuroda picking up his popcorn for him. But then a chick with extra layers orders straight fries. It turns out that Alfuda is on her usual stroll of picking fries as per the so-called elven regime. It seems like this won't work out for Alfuda when Kuroda jumps out of the dark corner as the dark elf calls her bullcrap full of lies. Suddenly, this is a war zone against racist elves or something. While Alfuda goes on and on about how tacky and improper this dark species is. On the other hand, Kuroda declares the elves to be a snobby bunch of fools. She assumes that this young brat is part of her party, but he quickly dismisses the idea of being anything related to her. After coming clean, Naoe explains how Alfuda is their body-shaping regular customer with an obsession with salty fries. This makes her wonder if this boy can help her as well. On a quick transformation, she explains her casting spell routine and wears an ornament and outfit to enhance their mana, which by the way just snapped before his eyes. Having a good look at these bottom beats, she lays out that she is running out of mana juice and whipping out tiny little circus clowns. With these short-handed attendants here, she forces this lad to assist her in getting her mojo back on by shrinking her butt size. Right in the store, Naoe feels her muscle mass being real work here. As Naoe massages her muscles, she lets out a blood-curdling cry, thinking that this brat is actually with the elves. There, this mad woman, boiling in her purple mana, is utterly furious to see this weakling trying to deliver absolute pain to her. Suddenly, she takes a step and feels her lay has become lighter than a feather. Though this chick thinks it's some sort of new spell, but he states it as a massage treatment, suggesting her a hip bath and massages daily with additional muscle training. Naoe advises her equipment-free weight loss routine. Suddenly, her frequent squatting snaps her pants just when Elfuda slips next to her when chasing the dummy doll. Elfuda mocks Kuroda's extra big glowing dark buns. Another war of gluttony begins against the cute oversized belly and extra bouncy buns. Suddenly, Naowa declares them as pretty gals for whom some men would die. However, both now are doubting the taste of human men around here who have stooped really low. Afterward, on Naowa's next visit to the store, he sees Kuroda working out with her minions, taking care of the store. There he got some nice treats aside from egg pudding and a little prank from her. Sometime later, Naowa is on his way to catch up with the nearby flower shop girl, Miss Kusahanada. Something feels a bit off today. That's when he realizes her flower is getting bigger with each meeting. It turns out that nice weather makes her swell, which is a bit odd, though she demands to know if Naowa has a solution to this thing. Moving on, Naowa, the gossip queen of the Smiley Boar, tells all of it to Miss Elfuda, who thinks Kusahanada is Arlon. She explains that Arlon is a human-shaped, friendly plant with emotions that absorbs nutrition from nature just like a plant. This makes him wonder if she is actually from another world too. Thanks to rich fertilizers here, that green chick had the worst with sunlight making her swell with constant clear weather. Naowa bets her diet is more like knowing how to do gardening, which totally falls out of his specialty. Wearing an orthopedic corset, Elfuda cheers on Naowa to give his best shot to help the lady. That said, Naowa makes a run for it, leaving Akio high and dry. Later, he straps Kusahanada into an orthopedic corset, which might ease her into balancing her posture and relieve strain. He believes her nasty posture is making her shoulders stiff, in return straining some parts of her body. While this strappy looks a bit hot and embarrassing for her, Naowa mentions he is just trying to tell her how to wear it, but she can wear it inside. At last, this heavy glop feels a lot lighter than ever before. Moving on, Naowa hands her a bag, which shocks her to the core. It turns out that this genius lad hooked her up with an umbrella, advising her to use it when sunlight is too strong. To thank this sweet brat, she gifts him 2-night coupons for a sauna here that works like a charm. Not to mention, she lays out that the hot weather just isn't for her. Not only that, she alerts this young lad about Oni popping there out of nowhere at night. The other day at the Smiley Boar, Naowa got her one of those special guidance diet and exercise sessions. He bets these will be a total waste if he doesn't plan on going due to a stinky ogre. On the other hand, Elfuda has no darn clue about what the heck a sauna is in the first place. So basically, Naowa states that it's a steamy bath of haven to lose weight and boost their metabolism. Thus, Elfuda likes the sound of this magical place where her sweating chamber might get the chance to open up and let loose the fat. However, she swears that a hot bath of slaty fries sounds yummy after a hot bath. Without further ado, Elfuda gets to this place. She finds herself again all by herself in this steamy, hot sauna. Out of the blue, a blur of the fog clears up, and she spots a bean-bun-dark monster sulking in the water. Kuroda gets up to tell Blondie that she had a hard day, and she deserves some chill time. However, this hottie believes that this oversized belly ball should be embarrassed to walk naked inside a public bathhouse, and that ignites a war zone in the hot aquatic indoor zone where these two plus-sized elves are going ballistic at each other. Just then, Elfuda quits this head-banging argument and goes for her sauna time. Moreover, she tells the dark bun to stop rolling around like a free donut and get on with her sauna. Just then, Elfuda smells the fear and thinks she is just a little scaredy cat who is afraid of the ogre rumors. Later on, these two are about to get inside the sauna room and a whiff of inferno smoke blows onto Elfuda's face. While she rolls like she is on fire, Kuroda spots the burner to be at least 120 degrees. But this elven pumpkins puts her rock-solid trust in human judgment and gives Kuroda a puff of hot sun on her face for starters. Suddenly, a horrifying voice demands they close a door. And that's when these two see a muscular woman with hot beasts hanging. Their mind clicks that she is an ogre. With these two melting like hot chocolate lava cake, Ogre does a small talk with these two bumpkins. She blurts that it's a funny world to run into elves at a sauna just like that. Though this oversized gorilla beats this heat is a bit much for these blobs, who better be pacing themselves out of here. That trash talk has shot their meters. They decide to take a seat and show this big muscular balloon what elves can be. Just when they sit, their bum looks to have fried on the sweaty oil, fresh bacon buns ready straight from the source. After this, the ogre suggests these dimwits get a towel and wrap around your waist or sit on one. Getting down to business, she would like to know what got elves wandering around here from far away. However, Blondie's witty nature kicks in and she cross-questions that oversized buffoon next to her. She spits that seeing an ogre is not something that happens every day too, while asking if she roams these lands often. Most importantly, she spills the secret that the ogre has a fan base. Apparently, the big girl is the talk of the town, with the potential of having a name in children's bedtime scary stories. This sends her off her rocker, while Kuroda has already turned into a cherry hot treat. Though she rambles on about their kind loving the booze, but Elfuda is eager to know why she is hiding out here in the sauna a bit too much. Suddenly, Elfuda's sharp eyes spot the wobbly thing under her huge melons that makes her eyes as wide as saucers. Long story short, this muscular greasy ball ended up gulping down a whole lot of booze to get this wobbly size. Tears well in her eyes, and she faces the truth boldly by admitting how much human booze rocks. Such a delicious liquid, this chick couldn't help but let the booze drip down with not so much as a stop. However, our Elfuda is pretty much related to this madness and passion to love something. She got it when she saw the ogre committing defeat at the hands of human booze. Before she mutters anything, Kuroda blurts out that this ogre woman is letting her vices take over, so just have a bit of self-control and she is good to go. Blowing a whistle while pretending not to hear it, Kuroda states that these two mad women have got to take the patience pill and put a stop to it. About the battle of wills, the sweaty ogre turns up the spice by betting the losers dine to feed the winner as much as they want. Now these blobs drool to imagine the all-you-can-eat buffet at Elfuda, and the sweaty ogre signed the deal. Kuroda doesn't know why these gooey balls wager food on the bet to lose weight. And the battle begins. So it happened as Elfuda breathed her last sweet puff of air while collapsing on the hot floor of the sweaty river in the sauna. Hence, the winning ogre tastes the sweet taste of cold bear on Elfuda's dimes right after. Right into her wild bear zone, Elfuda tries scratching the ogre's face to get her money back, but Kuroda asks this chick to quit being a crybaby. But it's obvious, pride over fries every day. Suddenly, Naoe slides in to see what's all this fuss about. He spots the crybaby Elfuda alongside Kuroda and a giant, upbeat muscle woman gulping down booze. She cries out to Naoe that her money turned into booze and not fries. A terrible tragedy. Upon asking, Ogre introduces herself as Oga, but Naoe's hands are full with Elfuda's crying tears for craving fries. With her so-called promise to start dieting tomorrow, she gets a mouthful of them in with the happiest smile ever. While Naoe is glad, Kuroda bets this chick can't even help herself. Later at Fishmonger, Nao looks for some good fish mackerel while Elfuda nags about being strictly vegan. While Naoe insists Elfuda try out this fish, which is a protein-rich omega-3 fatty acid meal that's good for diet. But she is bummed about carcasses lining up until a fishmonger, Miro, scares the crap out of them. So this fishmonger yaps about the fish as her top nutritional priority, making her skin supple. But Elfuda slaughters her self-esteem by calling her skin a real flabby for a fishmonger. Turns out that this seafood seller with a Diparesso shop mumbles about not catching up with swimming or exercise since she hit the town. Moreover, she is obsessed with eating delicious fish. Suddenly, she rushes to slam her face into the water bowl, freaking out these morons. Then she spills about her gills being dry, which might have set the scene for drama. Elfuda picks up her appearance as she is Miro, a fish person from another world, while Miro spots an elf in the midst. However, Miro prefers the mermaid to be correct. Suddenly, her potion wears off and bomb. She is a real-life mermaid. Knowing the Miro tears take years to make that potion, Miro spills that she got an alternative, the organic maca extract. Sounds like a 5-hour deal with one sip. She takes a sip real quick and gets bottom naked again. Later on, Naoe wishes to fix Miro's problems by mentioning muscle loss leading to flabby skin. So he suggests this chick do sets of biceps and triceps exercises, plastic ball dumbbell sets, wall push-ups, and a lymphatic message right after bath to filter out the waste. Moving on, Elfuda guides the whole massage steps, making Naoe a little too proud. Upon asking if she even ventured to the south, she quickly declines to step food there, which will rub the locals' nerves. Aside from that, Miro decides to pay her gratitude by almost expired top-of-the-line roe. Upon asking, Naoe states that these bubbles are salmon eggs that give Elfuda the creeps. However, Miro forces Elfuda to take a bite of this delicious treat and quickly screams that those are her eggs instead. On the verge of dying, Elfuda wishes for a hot fried bag right away as Naoe storms out of there like Flash. While Naoe takes a rushy exit, a woman with a bag of potato fries shares this with her doggo. This chick is surrounded by plenty of other women dying to share her lunch leftovers with this cute puppy. Another time, a nurse feeds this fluffy dog. Next, a little girl feeds this fluffy pup but ends up noticing how big its belly is. This throws the dog off in shock. Afterward, Naoe and Elfuda are having their jogging session in the best way. Elfuda feels bad for those losers like Kuroda, Kusanada, Oga, and Miro, who are lazily on the bed by now. Naoe makes the point that too much exhaustion might become a pain in the ass later. Later on, he demands to know why this blob is attached to Park so much. Thus, Elfuda introduces the gateway to alternate dimensions right away. Moreover, she breaks it down that only Mana can get him a free pass in their land. From there, they start running again, but at a park where they catch their breaths, Elfuda calls this post snack time. During the bickering, Nao bets this looks like a fully giant bowl of cheese that interrupts them mid-sentence. Avev, Elfuda figures this pup is someone with a few extra layers when she tries feeding him fires. But Naoa believes the rounder, the cute fluff they come out to be. Though Noah can't help but get on with his magic, the doggo tries escaping, but not so fast, Fluffy. Elfuda is pretty crept by his overly puppy love, and that's when the dog suddenly turns into a girl with snack pack-ready gifts. Eluda recognizes a lycanthrope in the midst of them, which are werewolves full of pride with an annoying personality. This wolfy cheek straight up roasts the elf girl who believes elves have a floral aroma. Naoa tries to save the scene by calming down Elfuda by telling the dog that her nose is very sharp. Suddenly, the fluff ball corrects Naoe that she ain't some do, but only just trying to exercise around here. All of a sudden, Elfuda's sharp eyes pick up that this chick is trying to get healthy with a diet. So this wolf girl starts spilling out her cute ways of eating delicious treats from humans. However, she spills his guts that those dumb humans put in so many treats that made her fat. Not to mention, any amount of running isn't getting the fat out of her. Not only that, she tells him that her body is super heavy to drag each other places. Just then, Naoa suggests this dumbass try stretching for even 5 minutes, which will help her move easily. He advises these greaseballs that they must loosen up the muscles and get their lymphatic system cleaned. Well, a few minutes later, these two feel like they have just revived back into their bodies. Thus, the fluffy chick grants Naoa the high honor of joining her pack. Elfuda picks up real quick that this wolf girl has a thing for him. Especially when lycanthropes like being with their kind only, Elfuda thinks he will soon learn to shake, making her fall hard for him. All of a sudden, the fluff ball gets Naoa's attention and sits before him like a desperate puppy who claims to have lost control over herself. Moreover, Elfuda breaks the ice that these wolves never cross or disobey their higher-ups in the pack. By the looks of this wolf, she bets that this puppy dog now sees Naoa as superior or master when he teaches about stretches further on. She sips that this wolfie is now at Naoa's command, even including the special button of the begging. Just when Naoa utters the word begging, the fluff ball cries when changing transformation at his orders. Like a little crybaby, Wolfie bawls her eyes out, saying that she just wanted to try losing some grease off of herself. Elfuda bets this is one pitiful poodle, and that's where she rubbed the wrong nerve. Thus, Wolfie declares there is a teaching session for the elf who is in order after mocking the wolf. Though Elfuda is too full of herself, moments later she is jam-packed like a trash bag as the fluffy girl couldn't let her off the hook and get away with this. Moving on, Naoa takes these 2 swimming lessons that help with weight loss. While Elfuda and Kuroda are in real tight spirits, Miro's soul is ready to leave the world, and Kusanhanada's flower has gotten a little too big. But the big woman, Oga, lifts the dumb chicks just like that. On the other hand, the fluff ball brags about getting on with the swimming smoothly, but Naoa notices her slow-mo swim zone. Thus he goes on and on about the swimming as the perfect exercise in the diet routine, which sucks all the energy. Not to mention, it's damn good against water resistance to enhance muscle improvement and buoyancy to lessen the strain. Starting off with water walking, he spots Akiho, the absolute best swimmer, and dives away elegantly as his jaw drops really hard this time. Suddenly, Naoa realizes he mistook Oku for Akiho in workspace. After spotting such fired-up spirits, Oku mentions being new around here. After that, Naoa is pretty psyched to lay down all the details about proper nutrition, like pork, to double the effects real quick. Out of the blue, Oku jumps a mile in shock. She loudly convinces him that eating pigs is a nasty thing, even beyond cruel. Elfuda's mind clicks, and she guesses her of being an orc. More so, yapping about this species, the elves declare the orcs as pig-like humanoids. Afterward, the orc blurts out about the orc's legendary technique to lose weight, which is why she has come in search of the diet. She swears to get hands on all the knowledge about this diet thing to turn the lives of orcs. Well, even elves can't keep their eyes off of Oku's toned waist and buns after swimming sessions. After some chaotic swimming and popsicles licking, Smiley Boar has a new visitor, a crybaby Oku. Turns out that the swimming pool and gym are closed off for renovation. Elfuda, like a pro, tries to throw an idea of sharing a bag of fries to turn that frown upside down, but Oku begs to lose fat in another way. So there's a creepy stalker in town who has set their eyes on Nawa, calling him a tasty morsel. Well, for today, Nawa's weight loss team is covering the field area of the children's playground. The kids around are pretty mind-blown by how huge and firm Oga is, like a rock-solid wall that no man wants to mess around with. With her horrifying raw impression, the kids make a run for it before she eats them to upgrade to a new level of macho. Suddenly, she sees the lot staring at her for no darn reason. But Elfuda only dares to speak all about female ogres packing those maternal instincts. She bets that even a drunkard nutjob got those cooties as well. Blushing hard, Oga slams some sense into Elfuda's fried brain that spooking the kids doesn't go this far. However, Elfuda is too quick to read that ogres are really nice with kids. Nawa tells the ladies not to become a joke before the kids around here get into their usual war zone tactics. All of a sudden, a little kid demands the giant Oga pay her some to stand on her turf or get her buns moving. A second later, Oga is head over heels on seeing this snobby brat's cuteness. Although Kuroda looks to be packing a solid punch for brats like her, Oga spills that even kids can have a little sass. While everybody looks a little concerned about Oga's weird face, Kuroda bets that it's better to teach some lessons of goodwill and manners to snobs like her. Out of the blue, that dumb brat spanks Kuroda's dark buns with an extra bounce, putting out a warning not to mess with him. Suddenly, Oga picks the little lady to tell her that violence is a no-no at her age. Later on, Nawa learns her name is Kobo, while Elfuda figures this little bully pushes around people at the park on a usual basis. Turns out this dumbnut has been collecting ransom from little kids in the park in the name of his turf with extra shady schemes. Upon asking, Kobo blows her crocodile tears to tell how her parents abandoned him, which left him no choice but to survive like this. Even though everyone spotted the eye drops, Oga's mellow heart gave in and became her new mommy now. But Elfuda refuses to buy his shady story when such bulging curves of flab don't come out of starving days. And that rubbed the little thing the wrong as she unleashed her true power. With such amazing reflexes to dodge an elf's arrow, Elfuda declares her as being Koblad Sprite, which might look like a little cute kid but is an adult. On the other hand, Kobo is far from being scared away by a bunch of blobs and even bigger slowpokes. Thus, she hops like a ping-pong ball to drive Elfuda crazy with her bow. Without further ado, Elfuda kicks down this rolling ball and traps her under a tire, with no mercy for the little one. Just then, this little firecracker cries about the candies slowing her down and making her flabby. Moreover, that made her super strength a lot rustier than she thought. He bets that these slowpokes are nothing against his super-shaped body once she gets into those. Damn, those weight-gain candies. Kobo feels like a huge ball of sack. Like a true lifesaver, Nawa drops a bombshell on Kobo by suggesting a new facial exercises crash course for his flabby jawline. However, he will let this golden course out if Kobo promises to be on her best behavior. So this lot gets down to business, starting with the licking to stimulate the muscles in their faces. Next are face-lifting massages, which are a godsend to contour her face in no time. Hence, Nawa shows that he has held up his end of the bargain and expects the same from her. And Kobo, with her mischievous smile, swears on doing that. Some days later, Nawa looks utterly shocked to his core by seeing that little brat's transformation with a sick jawline. Kobo tells the lad not to fret because now the kids love giving her candy voluntarily since she has improved her looks. She rants on and on about being popular as a serious worst-case scenario, almost like annoying. Oga can't help but adore this little thing when hiding behind the tree like a dark, huge shadow giggling. However, Kobo expects Nawa's help again if she ever puts on weight like a gumball again. Back at the Smiley Boar's Massage Relaxation Center, Nawa has already sniffed Elfuda's mischievous tactics to sneak some fries in her wobbly belly right from under his nose. But this poor soul sits on the bed of redemption before Nawa, whose cranky bum looks a whole lot disappointed in Elfuda. Turns out that this oversized gumball got defeated by the limited edition flavor of hot fries yet again, so she just couldn't help herself despite putting in all her efforts to get back to her model-like body. Well, Nawa bets that it is time to take her to the harsh road of reality. Thus, he now bans Elfuda from even sniffing the hot fries from far away for a while. She jumps back in shock as she's seen a ghost taking a dump. Without wasting a breath, she impulsively jumps in and throws her arms around his waist, begging for mercy to lift that ban off real quick. She claims that she cannot survive like this without her precious fries. He tells this chick to let go of him and stop freaking him out like this. Suddenly, she squishes his love handles, and that creates a deafening silence for a moment there. Without further ado, she squishes her wobbly belly and figures it's the same toxic waste as her. Unfortunately, Naoe has caught their cooties and now has a wobbly belly too that looks more or less like he's pregnant. Elfuda dares to ask if this human is getting a lot bigger down here as well. Sweat beads rolling down his face. He vows to get into good shape real soon, as this is his responsibility for being a good instructor. And thus he gets on track to be a real role model by drinking a cup of water for starters. He plans on fetching a well-balanced, low-calorie breakfast to start his beautiful new mornings. Moving on, he is focused on including a good, moderate amount of morning walk to shape his stamina and body naturally. Even after all this hassle, the lad ends up hitting on more weight than before. Now this puts him under a lot of stress, as he believes the Japanese ghosts are up to something, or he is definitely cursed. So this buffoon is not sure what he is going to do about it, and then the sleep takes him off the edge. Out of the blue, a crazy purple aura glimmers off of his skin with a dramatic, shadowy entrance of something that infuses a dream. Hence, Naoe spots the glowing, wobbly balloon, Elfuda, in the bikini on top of the French fries pile. Despite Naoe putting on the fries ban, Elfuda welcomes Naoe into their haven of fries. With a solid spirit to refuse, Elfuda shoves the fries in his mouth like a loaded missile, pushing it in with full force. So this nightmare breaks off, but that's not the end of it, as he steps into an entirely different nightmare. Flipping his lid, he snaps out, screaming to ask himself why he has been eating in his sleep. A sudden voice of a woman flows through his ears as she is stunned by someone breaking off her spell for the first time. Quickly brushing that off, she asks this poor lad to get on satisfying his true cravings, as it's all her home cooking. While Naoe has a million questions steaming off of his head, she tells the lad to pay attention to the food and not her. She casts a spell on him to regain control over his body and fills up his wobbly belly with delicious stuff. Just then, the Park of Yin and Yang breaks through the door to save their instructor from being the king of blobs. Upon asking, the elves mutter that he had a stink of an unusual spell on him that led them here. However, this pink apron chick has got her list of questions, starting from what the heck is up with elves sticking their noses in this. Elfuda, at her finest, states that she is a satyr who likes feeding on a virus that radiates off of others. To top it off, this chick blows up his hunger fuse to make Noak force eat all her cooking meals to drain the virus that puffs out of him. Ought to save his bum, these two end up in crossfire and the friendly neighboring war zone starts yet again while totally ignoring the enemy here. But the pink apron chick screams aloud that her favorite hobby only works at dinner time, and she would not let anyone blow it up. Turns out this sheepfish girl loves to cook and admires human cuisine styles and variety to a great length. Though Naoe couldn't help but ask as she feeds off lewd thoughts and desires as well, and that earns him a nasty slap. That slap catches the elves' attention to see Naoe is finally getting battered like a broomstick over there. Even then, Kuroda breaks the bad news that her panty is on the verge of snapping up if she flinches a muscle down there. But this doesn't stop our favorite wobbly blondie from threatening the Pinky over there to let go of their instructor. She calls her a gluttony monster, but Pinky makes the point that Elfuda looks like the real gluttony sin walking around here. Calling her uncontrollable junkie, she pisses off Pinky. And Pinky throws her spell to petrify the blob and makes her wear the Pinky suit as well. That aside, she gets on with her human project. However, Kuroda jumps in as the last resort to buy Elfuda sometime with one blow. Long story short, this cooking chick is also a gumball inside. Elfuda chuckles loudly to see this ball filled with a virus. Even after Satyr flies off in defeat, Elfuda mumbles that the chick doesn't know when to give up. After that, Naoe gets his personal army to protect him as Pinky waits in the shadows to take her revenge. While Doggo is having a blast, licking her bone, Naoe explains she fetches bones from somewhere and enjoys them a lot. Just when Leica slides down his bed, Naoe is freaking out as he pulls her out of there. But what's more shocking is that there is a skull bone that rolls out of under his bed. Now that sends everyone off their rocker as their eyes snap out of their socket in horror. Bit by bit, it comes to light that Doggy's son has a whole skeleton in her custody, making her look like a wild serial killer. However, she pulls off a so-called compelling case by screaming aloud that she doesn't feed on human flesh at all. To be clear, she mumbles about chewing the bones a bit, but she finds it somewhere. Elfuda demands this vicious doggo come clean about her mess, and that's when the bones move. All of a sudden, this skeleton sits upright to thank the lads for putting her together. Jumping off the rocker, they all spot a skeleton, probably with strong, unresolved feelings and grudges as the undead. Upon asking, this Bony calls herself Honeda from another world. Moving aside, she thanks the dog for putting her together, as it has been a real effort for her. Though she has won Oku's good heart, Honeda tells the story of her sorcery times and certain kingdoms that got her executed. The bottom line is she got through the gate connecting this world to the old one after she got lost in the afterlife dungeon. Even then, she got hit by a truck that broke her part into a million pieces. Crying to have those memories right back in his hollow skull, Honeda decides to enjoy a movie. But Nelwe is bummed about her walking off looking like this. However, she thinks it's her weight that might throw people off. Leaving her no choice, she manifests a body with her magic that looks just like her when she is alive. There she points at the wobbly back of hers, which is a bummer that makes her uncomfortable to walk around like a bold bony gal. Oku straight up points at the human here who can help the likes of her in no time. Everyone voices for Nelwe to be an ultimate pro at this. After a thorough examination, Noel picks up a hunched posture, which hardens her shoulder mobility. In a split second, Nelwe cracks the code and whips out her fix, which is a stretching move that can help her back. He says that muscle training for her might worsen the pain. Hence, he suggests loosening the muscles and getting into a good position every day. Seeing her take on the harsh challenge, Oku and Doggo hop in to follow the same challenge, and the room is filled with the fiery spirits of fitness junkies. Afterward, Honeda's happiness knows no bounds to see a flat back, and now Nawa bets she can enjoy the world with peace. Just then, the story takes a heavy turn there, when Honeda is wrapped in blue auras as Elfuda notices the skeleton slowly vanishing away. Everyone is stunned by this dramatic play of Honeda, as this is a jaw-dropping scene. She explains that all she ever had was loneliness since she was revived as a skeleton, filled up with pain, fear, sadness, and hatred. Not to mention, she cries, remembering why this ever happened to her always put her in despair. However, it comes to pass that all negative vibes were sucked out of her soul after spending good enough time with this lot. Suddenly, the skeleton shatters, leaving her winged soul, thanking this world to let her enjoy it last through diet. After thanking everyone, she departs to the better plane, leaving everyone soaked in tears. Elfuda thinks it's best to send her off with a nice burial. Just then, Nawa picks up the skulls and wishes she enjoyed the journey ahead that truly matters. Out of the blue, the skull starts talking again, creeping the heck out of everyone. Turns out his heartwarming speech revived her again, so she better lose some muscle to win a life as a traveling skeleton. Some other day, Nawa with Elfuda and Kuroda is on the jog in this snowy season. Suddenly, Kuroda takes a bad fall and drops her rock-solid lizard, which creeps the heck out of poor Nawa. After having a quick, funny teasing session, these two finally figure out this people-pleaser hates something at last, though they know he got the worst for the reptile species since he got bitten by a snake last time. The lad strangely hurries to get to work and makes a run for it, leaving these two deserted in the cod. While this pair of gooey balls decides to hit home, Elfuda suddenly trips down, only to find a person buried under snow. After getting help, these two dragged her down here and took off her cold clothes. And that's when they realize what they brought back is no human but something with a huge tail. Looks like this place adopts strange creatures from all over the world, hosting a good enough party. Elfuda believes this must be a dragon, but what worries them more is why the heck she is doing under the snow in the first place. All of a sudden, the dragon wakes up and telepathically asks why there are elves near her. Not to mention, she goes on and on about eating wagyu to lose weight and slim down. Getting down to the real questions, she states that she just took a nap there after lunch to lose weight. Well, Kuroda disciplines Elfuda not to piss her off and makes a strategy to get their hands on the treasure in exchange for making her slim down. Though this does not work, the bait to buy fries for eternity works like a charm. That's when they drop that they know someone, Dragon Slender, who can help her. Later, Nawa meets Gonda, the dragon that the lot already pre-planned to hide her reptile body just in case. While Nawa is shaken to the bone by her telepathic conversation style, he continues to palpate her and finds her temperature to be ultra low. Gonda asks if there's any chance of her slimming down. No believes she might catch hypothermia, so they need to heat her body right away. Not the sharpest tool in the shed, Elfuda almost breaks the cover by telling the lizards are cold-blooded, but Kuroda's gut-wrenching punch gets the best of her. After fetching her a hot drink, he states cold is the reason for pain and poor circulation. Getting on with that, she answers that her flabby belly is the main point that gets in her way when walking on all fours. Well, their ruffle and chaos bind Naoa, still blind, taking her to the exercise session. Starting with a swinging arm and spinning hips, Gonda's tail slips out, sending the lad into a possible coma. As Kuroda finalizes the deal, she receives the dragon's handful of personal jewels. Later at the Smiley Boar, Honda drops by to say hello to Elfuda and Naoe and tells how much she loves milk as a skeleton. Not to mention, she went shopping for all the milky products like cheese and tofu. Turns out that Honida got a flabby back all over again after gulping down this much dairy. Naoe lays out that her diet is pretty unbalanced with all these things exceeding in calcium. Thus, he suggests she try out low-fat milk with daily workouts to compensate. Without further ado, Naoe takes in Honida and introduces stretching and 2 simple exercises. Starting from wrist and ankle stretching, waist and bottom stretch, bending forward stretch, that's the end of it. Coming on to muscle training, he initiates back extension for Elfuda and Honida, strengthening the erector spine muscles in the back. With bonus tips, Naoe states she better breathe and raise her upper body as high as possible. Also, he recommends Superman stretching for the shoulder muscles. Honda whines about her waist feeling numb, and Naoe suggests not overdoing it. Next, the side plank takes the best out of these two in continuous reps. While Elfuda decides to use cheap tactics, Honda focuses on getting the maximum effects through this. After that, Naoe takes these two for the essential cooling down phase of deep breathing. Afterward, both girls mention feeling a lot fresh as Naoe thinks their lymphatic system is doing a better job now. With that, these lot cheers on with milk boxes. Not to mention, Elfuda is still darn curious as to why Honeda has no organ in her body at all but still functions so well. After a lot of thought, Honda decides not to spill all the secrets. It looks like our favorite blondie, Elfuda, the fries queen, has developed a toned belly, which by the way, looks totally amazing. Even Noah was impressed by how much she has slimmed down at the belly. Finally, my man's dedication, blood, sweat, tears, and hard work on her wobbly belly finally paid off. His eyes lighten up on seeing her massive progress down there, seeing how far she has come after all, although Elfuda acknowledges his buttload of hard work taking her to this point. But she brags about working damn hard lately as well. Out for a walk, Naoe learns that she might be planning a visit home soon, promising to come once in a while. The lad wonders what Elfuda's family is actually like. At the store, she recalls how much she has worked her sweat off to get this body shape. In return, she bets she deserves a little reward after all. With a loud sigh, Naoe decides to slide this one for the last time as she has earned some fries. Thus, he insists she stick to a small serving instead. As soon as she barges in, a blonde chick congratulates Elfuda on winning as the 10,000th customer, with a year's supply of free French fries. That said, she hands over the stack of coupons for her yearly supply, which shocks Naoe to his core. He thinks about what the odds are of that happening. Declaring herself the king of fries, she orders straight up 10 packs of fries right away, ignoring the scream of Naoe to back off. Somewhere else, Ogre and Kuroda think they better change the guarding routine until they bump into the gooey ball, Elfuda, munching a bag of fries yet again. While Oga is pretty much half dead to see her looking like a huge gumball, Kuroda's jaw drops to the floor. What's more ironic is that Naoe is just the same size as hers, but capable of hiding behind the mountain like Elfuda. Flipping her lid, Kuroda blows a fuse and demands answers from this chick with extra bouncy layers. She warns the dark buns lady to back off before she tears her clothes. Elfuda commands No to eat his fries and ignore this noisy lot. All of a sudden, Kuroda smells a trace of dark magic coming off of these bags. Oga bets it's the nasty work of Satyr from the back to mess with them, but Elfuda mentions never seeing her since the last time. Thus, Oga believes there's no one else on Noah's tail and manipulation is no small feat. However, Oga asks if there's anything out of the ordinary that happened with any of these two. Come to think of it, Elfuda does recall winning the yearly supply of free French fries. The lot thinks Elfuda's has a tad bit of a screw loose somewhere. Kuroda figures this spell is called Charm to Mess with One's Head in Cloud's Judgment. Even though Naoe remembers the fries tasting a lot better than usual. Upon skiing, Kuroda states that this goofball has enough resistance to block off such petty attacks, but her cracked brain full of greed gave in. Hence, Oga is pretty psyched to see this new company that has arrived. The burger lady pops in, surprised to see that her sorcery doesn't land on elves at all. That said, she transforms into her original pinky apron suit. all happy to see Elfuda as the big meaty chunk. Elfuda tells this snob to quit calling her nasty, but Satyr has come here for vengeance. She absolutely blurts out lewd nonsense to frame Elfuda as a crime witness to Noah's lewd actions with Pinky. With all this uproar, Oga demands to know why Satyr swelled up Noah. Kuroda settles that she got her revenge, and now she should save herself from a pointless and wasting fight. But Pinky declares having more reason to still go on. Spotting her sucking out his Avarice, Pinky's plan bears fruit, and Elfuda's clothes rip apart in a split second. This confirms her Operation Bloat Her Belly and Tear Her Clothes to Shreds accomplished. That said, Pinky swears to make her go through the same humiliation as she did. That's her final goal as it is. Hearing her make a big fuss about this, Elfuda states that this doesn't affect her at all as he manhandles her all the time. She wonders if these two are at each other daily, but Noah clears up that by saying it's just a massage. Thus, Pinky is down in the dumps, on her knees. While Noah orders this chick to cover up already, Elfuda slams his shoulder enough to shred his clothes as well. All of a sudden, his wooden things make a mind-boggling display in front of Satyr. Without further ado, her body jumped out of the window yet again with a blood-curdling scream. Later at the boxing gym, Noah pushes the ladies a bit hard until calling for a break. Turns out that Akio opened up this amazing place about 6 months ago, like the overachiever she is. Upon asking why he chose a boxing gym, he recalls Akio's fetish for seeing sweaty young men going at it with their hearts and souls. On off days, he spills that she lets him use it, which is how he got in shape. He believes that the ladies might try a new sport and do better at it by chance. Thus, he thinks of throwing a light sparring at each other. Letting the boxing match begin, Noah takes on all the ladies by guiding them on how to last a blow. Mero thought 2 minutes would be an easy-peasy ride, but that ought to take their breaths away. The ladies are totally gasping for breath after throwing off their chaotic energies during sparring. Who would have thought a boxing gym would get them this soaked in their own sweat? Seeing it's Oga's turn now, Noah has chills down her spine, so he hides behind Elfuda instead like a sore loser. But that doesn't stop this wild beast from taking a go at Noah. Just then, she tries landing a massive hit at the poor lad, which almost slays his head off like a bottle cap. This sends a shiver down everyone's spine. After seeing this scaredy cat shiver like a princess, Oga demands to get someone else for the spar. While Oku hides under her puggy hands, Miro declines all offers of Oga to turn her face structure into a modern piece of art. Thus, Elfuda declares Oga as the liability that won't get us sparring here. With no partner to spar with, Oga feels a little lonely for not having anyone her size to be played with. While Noah tries to reason with the big lady that it's a matter of size and strength after all, Oga blabbers about being a former Miss Big Old Misfit as always. While Ova is sullen in the corner, a huge lady walks inside in search of the trainers. She feels something is a bit off about the ladies behind Noah. The lad takes this one for the team, as he states this is a brand new sport called costume boxing. However, Elfuda puts his Grady thoughts to rest, as she has already picked up on something unusual. This turns out to be a Cyclops from another world who got her schedules mixed. Moving on, she mentions that she joined a month ago, but never had a partner this big to spar with. That's when Nawa arranges a spar of Hitome, the Cyclops, against Oga, the Ogre, due to their same build. Although Elfuda recalls a nasty story about their competitive nature, which creeps out Nawa. However, it is a little too late to put a stop to it, as they are up against each other. Noah declares this to be a light sparring only with no contact. But that doesn't run by their cracked heads as they beat the crap out of each other. Going at each other's throats, these two beasts do not know when to give up at all. Noah's tiny throat has already admitted defeat to stop these two from breaking the rules of light sparring. Shivers run down his spine as the blood drains from his face. He faces the true horrors in the boxing gym of his boss. However, this baby whines about these monsters causing a rampage here to Elfuda. She lets him down nicely by rubbing his shoulder and helping him let them go. She bet these two won't stop until they are fully satisfied. By this sparring, though she carefully reminds the lad about his words of choice, enjoying the sport while staying active. After a loud burst, Naoe whimpers that this is not something he has ever had in mind. At the Smiley Boar, Akio gets all dressed, but hears Naoe's whimpering moans. Upon asking, Naoe shares his endless thoughts about the lot not losing enough weight. Just when he turns around to take advice, the lad gets his jaw dangling on the floor in surprise to see her in such a sexy outfit. Turns out that Akio just wanted to show off her gains after buying some new gear. He believes that his boss has been into yoga a lot recently. That's when Akio hands over the flavor of her friend's hot yoga studio. She definitely recommends this to Naoya, saying that this is a must-try. Later, at the hot yoga studio, Oga explains to cute little Kobo that the human lad has a new technique for weight loss, though Kobo spills that she doesn't give a damn about his pitiful buns. Kuroda and Miro feel the abnormal heat settling in here, while one of them is definitely becoming marrow jerky. Elfuda takes the first step to ask Naoya why they are here, and if it's one more workout session he has planned. On the other hand, the lot is filled with a million questions about why they are gathered here all so suddenly. Some bet it's another boxing match, while others think about some other sports like dancing. Naoya rejects all their idiotic theories and puts them to rest. Oga, at the highest point of the haven, while holding little Kobo, thinks these sore losers live under a rock as always. Naoya gets the idea that Oga has finally cracked this surprise and wishes to know what her mind points at. Thus, he takes the responsibility and gives everyone else a rundown. Just then, Naoya hands over a bag to Oga for safekeeping and asks her to take the road from here. Besides that, Kobo thinks the pretty boy just gave away a handful of ransom. Shaken to the bone, Naoya clears up on handing Oga some clothes and bribes. More importantly, he guides the ladies to take down that locker room for change and whatever. While Naoya is almost done with lining up yoga mats, the ladies strip naked step out of the locker like some kind of happy models ready for the catwalk. Naoya is shocked beyond belief, jumping a mile high as if he has spotted a bunch of ghosts naked. The poor lad is horrified by the images he just saw. There, he demands to know why this bunch is all naked. Turns out that the ogre thought that it was some sort of private sauna spot. While all the ladies are dying to see where the sauna and cold baths are, Kuroda suggests the ladies wrap towels down before they sit. Especially, she points at the flabby blondie so as not to embarrass herself all over again. However, she is also the one falling for the hot, dark buns at the last sauna. Without further ado, a naked war of pulling out wobbly cheeks has already begun against dark meat buns and glowing wobbly bellies. Those two are going at it, while Kusanada whispers at those two to calm down now. On the other hand, Naoya's blood pressure is skyrocketing as he continues to shiver like a milkshake mixer. Besides that, Oga says that he better let this go and crank up the heat. Naoya has pretty much had it with this bunch, casually throwing off their clothes. Without wasting a damn breath, he screams aloud that this isn't a sauna or a bathhouse, so he commands the bunch to get dressed this instant. Afterward, Naoya explains these dimwits about today being special for a hot yoga session. It hit her like a ton of bricks. Oku spills that she has read about yoga a lot in dieting books once, which helps with physical posture and breathing techniques. His face is still burnt off by seeing a parade of naked chicks. Naoya states that this goes on in a high-heat, high-humidity environment, which is called hot yoga. It clicks fast in her fishy head that this is exactly the opposite of what Oga told them. However, Katome is more concerned about whether it will be effective in losing weight. Naoya looks pretty certain that this deal might reduce their size drastically while lessening inflammation and giving off a slimmer face. More importantly, he mentions that this very technique might jumpstart tear metabolism to burn fats even more. After that, he begins the hot yoga and asks the lot to mimic and copy his beginner-friendly poses. In their cross-legged position, the doggo sits like a good dog instead. Getting on with the Sukhasana pose, which is a foundational pose of yoga, is a common pose in meditation as well. Trying their best to hold this position for long, Oku whines about getting sweaty, while Miro thinks she is on the verge of death soon enough. Moreover, Naoya advises this hard-working bunch to stay hydrated at all costs. Leaning onto the specific poses that attack areas of the body, he calls for a supine spinal twist to improve digestion. Moving on to the chair pose, he declares this for tightening, sculpting, and strengthening the lower body. Next is the crescent moon pose. He further directs the ladies to bend their spines. Coming to the downward-facing dog, he regards this to be special for toning their arms, calves, and hamstrings. Hitama feels like her arms are getting wobbly like jelly. Moving on with the tree pose for core muscles, Satyr, the creepy stalker, takes a sneak peek at the gang. She wonders what this lot is doing out here. Up next with the lion pose, all the chicks are going one by one to show off their favorite poses. While Satyr believes the ladies are trying out all possible sexy poses for that human. Suddenly, Naoya spills that he has noticed a great amount of sweat leaking out of them. After hearing such lewd trash, Satyr is blown away with the speed of light yet again. With Naoya's fitness junkie club making progress finally, Naoya instructs Kuroda about the stiffness issue. But Elfuda sticks her butt in this matter also. and this causes a war to erupt amid the yoga session. Out of those two, the other members are doing well at maintaining their calm and pose to gain a better advantage. The incoming yoga pose is the happy baby pose. Now this just warms Oga's heart enough to lift Kobo again as her maternal instincts kick in. She calls dibs on Kobo and hugs her tight, though Hitome reminds Oga not to swoop into a child's personal space like that. Moreover, she states that anyone can figure that Cyclops are a much superior species than petty ogres, and this somehow is about to erupt into a nasty fight against the giants. Oga states the winner is the real mother. After placing the bets, Hitome looks to be totally ready for a real match, though Oga gets a bit cocky to declare herself as the winner for that much, but not when Hitome is alive. Hitome thinks she must have got a screw to lose inside as there was no winner declared, so now the hot yoga zone has become a brawl room for Kuroda against Elfuda and Hitome against Oga. Well, Naoa has no damn idea how this turned out to be like this. On the other hand, he notices Honeda's completely unaware state of calm and focus. Not to mention, Naoa just realizes that her artistic yoga poses only mean she is a true yoga master. Far away, Naoa looks to be vouching out for Honda-san's talent to outsmart other bimbos like a pro yoga master. Out of the blue, Elfuda almost throws something at Honda, which she smoothly dodges by bending her spine. All of a sudden, Gonda drops by to check if Dragon Slender has come up with some new technique to lose weight after all. She states that if that lead helps her with losing weight, she will make sure he comes out of this training as the Slumdog Millionaire. While she just freaked out everyone with telepathy, Elfuda tells her the rule of the yoga club is to lose that outfit. Without further ado, she takes her pants off, letting her tail wiggle out. Other than that, Gonda demands that Naoa spill out his secrets of losing weight. After knowing that a dragon has dropped by, Naoa is pretty much blacked out for good, as the girls believe this one is a corpse pose. In the darkest corners, our favored dark elf looks to be cooking some nasty stuff as her mana is skyrocketing after such good workout days. All done. Kuroda would love to put this to a test drive, especially on that gooey blonde elf. She laughs like a hyena on a sugar high as the moon turns blue. The next day, Kuroda is on the hunt to find Blondie, who is nowhere to be found. In fact, no soul exists in this room at the moment, thus she makes up her mind to kill some time and try her luck later again. After dropping the weird potion bottle, she takes a stroll outside, leaving it right here for anyone. Later on, Naoa makes it home but sees no one roaming around the house. He tries calling for Elfuda, but he hears no reply and resorts to thinking that no one is seriously home. He takes a sigh, knowing that the chick left the door unlocked. All of a sudden, he spots a weird-looking bottle at the table. He wonders if this is for Elfuda's son. No wonder these sugary boosts are all the reason she is getting bloated and flabby. On the other hand, he reads this as the Coca-Cola bottle, but it looks to be such a new sparkly flavor. Charmed by Kuroda's dazzling spell, Naoa craves to take a little sip of this new flavor without so much as self-control. Taking it all down in one go, Naoa finds its taste to be really funny. Suddenly, a purposeful shot of magic turns him all glowy and purple, while making him desperate to gasp for breath. Just then, he totally blacks out and collapses. After a while, Honeda, Miro, and Dago come for a visit and freak out to see Naoa all passed out on the floor like a half-dead corpse. Afterward, Elfuda, like a nuclear bomb, drops on Kuroda's buns while blowing a fuse. She demands to know what this crazy chick thought she was doing. She states that she has been trying to land a perfect flavored drink with her new limited edition French fries. Out of all people, she swoops in to press the red button and only pulls out a darn red bean soup. This chick looks totally flipping her lid this time. On top of that, Elfuda thinks she might die of thirst if she doesn't get a good drink after fries. And this is where Kuroda lands this golden opportunity to trap her into drinking her shady potion. Putting that as bait, she tells Elfuda that she left a good drink at the human's house. Moreover, she explains herself for dropping by Naoa with a new flavor of the soda. Suddenly, her eyes light up with hope to catch the taste of this new flavored soda alongside her hot fries. With a mischievous smile, Kuroda watches this gumball storm to that human's house and falls right into her trap. In her research of pulling off a weight loss cheat code potion, she hopes to put this gooey ball as the guinea pig. While Elfuda diddles and daddles like a happy girl to get her new soda, Kuroda chuckles at her poor ass for falling in for this, although she bets that even if it's total failure, nothing worse or irreplaceable would happen to this gumball. Just after that, Elfuda and Kuroda arrive home to be baffled by what has unfolded before their eyes. To see Nawa like this, Kuroda screams in agony to see her test results affect poor Noah instead. Everyone in his sight, Nawa is coming back alive while having no darn idea what the commotion is all about. Just then, he hears the comforting voice of Elfuda, asking him to pull himself together. While the lot takes a sigh of relief to see him alive, Doggo asks if he has become a zombie or something. All of a sudden, he sees his hand, which has gotten a lot tinier than the last time. Not to mention, the realization hits him hard when he realizes every portion of his body has shrunk. On the other hand, Kuroda has a million questions about this unexpected guinea pig's result of short stature, which could be calcium deficiency. Although she bets fish might reverse this very thing. Besides that, she figures that technically he lost weight. Aside from that, Elfuda is taking her own personal examination like a true mommy. However, now I would like to know why his height suddenly got short. She believes that she might actually know who is behind this bullcrap. While others are so damn curious, Kuroda feels a chill running down his spine. She believes that Elfuda's sharp brain might figure this one out pretty easily. Not to mention, she already knows about the Coca-Cola drink she bought for her and left it here for her. Suddenly, Elfuda spills his guts about Satyr being behind this crap. A sense of contentment washes over Kuroda. She knows that this dimwit just declared her in a safe zone. Even then, everyone seems to buy Elfuda's theory. She swears to spank that bumpkin as punishment, which sends the creeps for Kuroda. While Elfuda asks Nawa if she should get him a smaller outfit, Kuroda sneaks to hide the evidence right away and focuses on changing the human back after that. Just when she is close, Elfuda calls Kuroda to hunt together some short stuff for this poor lad. After putting on some fitted clothes, Elfuda reports to him that the skeleton squad is on the lookout for Satyr. On the other hand, Kuroda is still scheming to get her hands on the bottle. Suddenly, Oga is outside for her cooking session with Nawa today. Just when Oga looks at this kiddish Nawa, her maternal instincts kick in real quick, and she imagines a happy life playing with this brat. Without further ado, she squishes the poor Nawa into her big melons. After a small banter, Oga is darn shocked to see this as Nawa, which she thought was someone's kid or something. Piecing all the details, Oga learns Satyr is at the back of this to turn him into a little baby. On the other hand, Elfuda demands everyone's utmost attention to deal with this situation rather carefully. While Nawa is about to apologize for putting their cooking session on hold, Kuroda thinks it's a good chance to clean the evidence. Suddenly, she suggests Elfuda assist these two with their cooking lesson today. She presents that she has nothing better to do anyway, until they hear the next report from the squad. Later on, they are on to cooking a healthy meat and potato stew while Kuroda got sucked into this crap too. Thus, she decides to stick around until a golden chance comes along for her to swipe off that soda bottle under their noses. Like a panther ready to strike, Kuroda awaits the opportunity. While those three look darn busy with potato stew, Kuroda takes a turn and a step, and both Elfuda and Oga swoop in to kill. Scaring the crap out of Nawa and Kuroda, these two duds order this chick not to sulk around like a loser. Spotting them on real high red alert, she cries like a baby who cannot make any careless moves at all. Thus, Kuroda continues to look for a moment when they are all preoccupied totally. Although she ends up making this stupid stew after all. Just then, Nawa informs them to let the stew simmer for 20 minutes until it's done. So this tiny dude takes this opportunity to teach these bunch of gumball exercises for their free time. Starting from standing back leg lifts, paired with calf exercises, Kuroda suddenly starts whining about getting all sweaty and thirsty. Out of the blue, Elfuda throws that weird soda bottle at her to calm her thirst with this bottle. She looks shaken to her core. Now that she has the bottle, she definitely doesn't wish to drink it ever. Elfuda is quick to pick up that dark bun elf is acting pretty shady all of a sudden. Before Elfuda mutters anything, Kuroda blasts the soda onto her face by accident, which scares the other two. All the mischievous schemes of Kuroda have spread out to all the ladies, who now have two knocking punches on her head. Elfuda looks to be pretty furious with what has gone on with Nawa, but he asks Blondie to take a chill pill. Upon asking for her honest reason, she mumbles about helping him out by making a weight loss potion that makes his job a little easier. After her apologies, Nawa is pretty glad to get her thoughts out. Yet he opens up and assures her that he loves what he does and will never resort to drugs ever. To everyone's surprise, Nawa has grown a bit, just the same size as Oga, much to Kuroda's dismay. Elfuda gives in to her craving for French fries once again. Suddenly, Reika appears and snatches the bag of fries from her hands. Elfuda, a little shocked, asks if Reika is a dog, adding that she even looks like one of the kind of men I'm into. Reika responds that she isn't a dog and reminds Alfuda that she shouldn't be eating fries since she's on a diet, something that you needed to be on since 12. Without waiting for a reply, Reika takes off with the fries, and Alfuda chases after her. Reika slips through a narrow hole in a wooden partition along the roadside, but when Alfuda tries to follow, she gets stuck. Struggling to free herself, she pushes hard, and in the process, the back of her jeans tears. Despite the mishap, Alfuda doesn't give up and keeps chasing Reika, determined to get her fries back. The two race through the entire neighborhood, with Reika constantly slipping through tight spaces that leave Alfuda trapped and frustrated every time. Finally, Reika comes to a stop, and Alfuda catches up, breathless, demanding her fries. Reika grins, calling her a greasy elf, and tells her to leave her alone. Alfuda complains, reminding her that she was the one who stole her precious fries in the first place. As Alfuda steps closer, she notices a small box beside Reika, inside of which lies a tiny puppy. Annoyed, Alfuda rolls her eyes and blames Reika for stealing her fries just to feed the puppy. Reika picks up the little dog and explains that Leika, the puppy, is a pack leader and it's her responsibility to care for her kin. This one, she adds, needs plenty of food. Alfuda then realizes that Reika has been losing weight because she's been giving her own food to the puppy. Reika plays with the puppy for a moment and tells Alfuda to take her fries back, assuring her that Leika will be fine since she's strong. Alfuda, moved by Reika's kindness, gets emotional and insists that Reika should keep the fries to feed Leika instead. Surprised, Reika asks why Alfuda has had a change of heart. Alfuda struggles to maintain her composure and replies that she doesn't know, and she doesn't have any particular reason. Reika takes a fry and offers it to Leika, but the puppy sniffs it, barks, and refuses to eat. Even the dog has standards and you don't. Confused, Alfuda asks Reika what the puppy is saying. Reika explains that Leika is refusing the fry because it has too much salt. Both of them laugh, realizing that the puppy is more health conscious than they are. They agree it's better to go buy proper dog food instead. Later, Alfuda walks down the street, thinking about fries. She notices a cafe and tries to read the board outside, but the words are in German. After some quick thinking, she does the maths in her head and confidently concludes that Germans must eat potatoes too. Hoping to find fries, she decides to head inside. Once inside, she is served a cup of German coffee. Curious, Alfuda asks the girl serving her about it. The girl tells her that she can add milk and sugar as she likes, then walks away. Alfuda frowns, wondering if coffee isn't something humans usually drink in the morning. Hesitant to drink it at first, she gives it a sniff. The aroma is pleasant, so she decides to give it a try, thinking it might even have something to do with potatoes. Just as Alfuda brings the cup to her lips, Tomotsu enters the cafe, announcing that he's there to pick up some coffee beans he ordered. The girl excuses herself and heads to the back to check if the order has arrived. Meanwhile, Tomotsu notices Alfuda sitting nearby. As he approaches her, Alfuda takes a sip of her coffee, only to immediately spit it out. She coughs and groans, overwhelmed by its bitterness. She didn't add milk because she's dumb, unlike you, whose dad never came back with it. Both Tomotsu and the girl rush to her side, concerned. They ask if she's okay, but Alfuda yells in frustration, questioning what kind of awful special this is. She declares that from now on, she's sticking to potatoes. Later, Alfuda and Tomotsu walk down the street together, and she continues to complain about the coffee. As they walk, she notices a plant in Tomotsu's hands and asks about it. Tomotsu explains that it's a rose bush that Kushinada gave to him, but it isn't doing well. Miro, Kuroda, Oku, and Kushinada sit together chatting. Miro mentions how delicious the fish is this season but adds that she's been advised to eat pork instead if she wants to lose weight. Alfuda and Tomotsu join them and greet everyone. Kushinada notices the rose bush in Tomotsu's hands and asks what happened to it. Tomotsu explains that it started wilting and developed white spots on the leaves. Kushinada asks to take a closer look and places her hand on the plant, beginning to cast a spell. Tomotsu asks what she's doing, and the others explain that, as an Allron, Kushinada can control plants with magic. She can move, transform, and heal them at will. Alfuda adds that this skill is unique to creatures with an even deeper connection to nature than elves. As they watch, the rose bush suddenly revives and even blooms a new, beautiful flower. Tomotsu, amazed, thanks Kushinada for her help. Kushinada yawns, worn out from the spell. Tomotsu apologizes for tiring her and pulls out coffee beans from his bag, explaining that he brought them as a thank you gift. Oku inspects the beans and compliments their high quality. Excited, Tomotsu suggests they all try some together. Everyone agrees, but Elfuda warns them that coffee is like poison to otherworldly beings. Kuroda shrugs, saying that coffee is coffee. Tomotsu laughs and tells Elfuda she might like it more if she adds plenty of milk and sugar. Kushinada offers to fetch some boiling water, and Tomotsu agrees. When she asks if they need anything else, he assures her that he has brought everything they need as part of the gift. Oku praises him for being so thoughtful. The group gathers around the table and pours coffee into their mugs. Tomotsu asks Kushinada if it's her first time trying coffee. She replies that she's tried it before but doesn't remember how she felt about it. Miro compliments the aroma and color of the coffee. Kushinada takes a sip and describes the flavor, saying it has a fruity acidity and a slightly sweet finish. She tells Tomotsu that it's delicious. Miro adds that it's less bitter than sea snails, and Kuroda comments that it would go well with a pastry. Tomotsu, excited by their reactions, explains that coffee can even help with weight loss. Suddenly, something strange happens to Kushinada. A dangerous flower blooms wildly from her head and her personality shifts. She turns into a completely different person, addressing Tomotsu with affectionate pet names. She begins speaking with excitement, declaring how fantastic she feels. Elfuda, concerned, asks if Kushinada will return to normal. Kuroda assures her that it's only temporary. Kushinada beams at her friends, expressing her joy as vines sprout from the ground. Kuroda warns everyone to step back, but Kushinada, full of energy, decides to give them all a hug. Vines shoot out in every direction. Kuroda tries to cool her down by spraying water, but it doesn't work. Miro questions the logic of giving water to a plant-based creature. Kushinada responds by splashing everyone with a bluish liquid that dissolves their clothes wherever it touches. Kuroda realizes that Kushinada is acting like she's drunk. Tomotsu checks if everyone is okay, but just then, a long vine wraps around him and lifts him upside down, bringing him close to Kushinada's face. She tells him how adorable he looks up close, playfully saying she could just eat him. The plant on her head opens wide, and Tomotsu screams for help. Elfuda and the others rush to save him. Kushinada grabs Elfuda next, and Elfuda desperately tries to talk her way out of it, insisting she wouldn't taste good. Miro transforms into a mermaid to escape, but the vines catch her by the tail. Kuroda tells Elfuda to buy her some time so she can charge up her magic. Elfuda compiles but realizes she forgot her arrows. Kushinada teases her, calling her a silly little elf. Motivated, Elfuda charges at Kushinada, determined to help, but the vines grab her again and toss her onto Kuroda. Tomotsu asks if everyone is okay, but they lie on the ground, exhausted. Kushinada returns to Tomotsu, who is still dangling upside down near her face. She declares that she's starving and pulls him closer. After some time, Elfuda regains consciousness and finds everyone lying around. She suddenly remembers Tomotsu and anxiously looks for him. To her relief, she spots him next to Kushinada, who is now fast asleep. However, Tomotsu sits there naked, quietly crying. Although he's safe and sound, his pride has clearly taken a hit. Tomotsu and Elfuda are at a mart, where Elfuda excitedly asks for fries. Tomotsu stops her, reminding her she shouldn't get any. As they leave, Tomotsu notices Elfuda munching on a small box of fries. Confused, he asks when she got them. Elfuda shrugs, saying it's okay since it's the smallest size. Tomotsu frowns, disappointed, reminding her he told her not to buy any. From a distance, Oida watches them with suspicion, licking her ice cream. The next morning, Tomotsu wakes up refreshed, commenting on the beautiful day. He calls for Elfuda to wake up too, but she snores loudly, still asleep. Noticing a hole in the back of her pants, he points it out. Elfuda wakes up, a bit concerned, and Tomotsu suggests they buy her some new clothes. Elfuda reassures him, showing a drawer packed with tracksuits. Tomotsu stares, stunned, as Elfuda explains that tracksuits are versatile, moisture-wicking, odor-resistant, breathable, and suitable for wearing 24/7s. Tomotsu tells her to get dressed so they can go out. As Elfuda starts undressing in front of him, Tomotsu quickly turns away, asking her not to do that. She puts on new pants, only for them to rip instantly. She's still not as fat as your mom. Embarrassed, she asks Tomotsu not to tell Bubble Butt. With a sigh, he agrees, while Oida continues watching from afar, licking on her ice cream. Later, they head out for a jog and pass by a French fries shop. Elfuda praises it, saying it's a great spot for fries. Tomotsu warns that eating now will ruin her dinner, but Elfuda argues that after such a long walk, it wouldn't hurt. Tomotsu promises to make her a healthy potato dish later and asks her to wait. Elfuda agrees, excited, and Oda keeps following them from a distance. Observing everything, she still has an ice cream in her hand. Tomotsu arrives at his massage clinic, where Kuroda is waiting. As he massages her, he asks what's new, and Kuroda tells him she's been doing the stretches he recommended. Tomotsu notes her muscles are sore, and Kuroda explains she's been on her feet all day. When he massages her calves, she yelps in pain from the pressure. It starts raining, and Miro and the others rush into the clinic, asking Akiho if they can wait inside. Akiho welcomes them and asks if they have an appointment. They confirm, and once Tomotsu finishes with Kuroda, they all get ready for their turn. Tomotsu massages each of them one by one. As he works, Miro asks if he doesn't want to take a break. Tomotsu smiles and tells her that he'll take a break after finishing this session. Suddenly, a loud clap of thunder booms outside, and Hitome, startled, clings tightly to Kushinada. In her panic, she accidentally rips Kushinada's shirt. Embarrassed, Hitome apologizes repeatedly, but Kushinada remains calm and tells her it's fine. She asks Tomotsu if he has a spare shirt. Before he can respond, another thunderclap roars, and Hitome reverts to her natural size, revealing her true form as a cyclops. She grows massive, barely fitting into the room, and clings to Tomotsu, trembling. She confesses that thunder terrifies her, squeezing Tomotsu in her giant embrace. Once the situation settles down, Akiho informs Tomotsu that his next client has arrived. Though tired, Tomotsu perks up when he sees Reika in her dog form. When does your ex plan on getting out of his dog form too? He can't resist playing with her and starts giving her a playful massage, treating it like a lighthearted break. Later that night, Tomotsu steps out of the clinic after a long day, with Reika walking beside him. He thanks her for visiting and jokes that next time she should come in her human form since the health department has a rule about animals in clinics. Reika gives a small bark of acknowledgement before leaving. As she leaves, Oda, who has been secretly spying on him all day, finally steps out of the shadows. She's wearing a creepy red mask as always, and when Tomotsu sees her, he jumps in fright. Oida calmly tells him to relax and assures him there's no reason to be suspicious of her. Tomotsu, however, thinks to himself that he's now more suspicious than ever. Oida mentions that she has a favor to ask and asks if he would be willing to listen. Tomotsu tries to excuse himself, saying he's in a hurry, but Oida insists it will only take a moment. She mentions that it concerns the elven girl who's been staying at his apartment, clearly referring to Elfuda. She tells him they need to talk in private and urges him to follow her. They walk together until they reach the middle of a quiet park. Once there, Tomotsu asks who she is, but Oida ignores the question, focusing instead on the ice cream in her hand. She takes a slow bite, speaking in a strange, contemplative tone. She describes the soft-serve ice cream as a fascinating treat, noting how cold and sweet it is. As she eats, she marvels at how humans can enjoy such a delicacy whenever they want, remarking that it feels like a sign of advanced technology. She steps closer to Tomotsu, saying there's no conflict in this world, and everyone seems peaceful and comfortable. Then, as if lost in thought, she suddenly adds that she now understands why someone wouldn't want to leave. Tomotsu, thoroughly confused, wonders who she's talking about, but Oida offers no further explanation. Suddenly, Elfuda shoots an arrow toward the masked woman, telling Tomotsu not to panic. She explains that she's had a constant feeling that someone was watching them. Keeping her arrow ready, Elfuda demands the woman reveal who she is. The woman calmly replies that she only wants to have a simple conversation with Tomotsu. Elfuda orders her to remove the mask. As the mask comes off, Elfuda is shocked. It's her aunt, Oida. Tomotsu is equally surprised by the revelation. Oida approaches Elfuda, pinching her cheeks while scolding her. She explains that Elfuda's mother asked her to find her since she hadn't heard from her in a long time. Elfuda apologizes for the pain as Oida keeps pinching. Oida then grabs Elfuda's belly and mocks her, saying it's not that she doesn't want to return home. It's that she can't because of all the extra weight. Oida mentions how worried her mother was before finally letting go of Elfuda. Tomotsu tries to de-escalate the situation, suggesting there's no need for violence. Oida smirks and warns him that he hasn't even seen violence yet. She continues berating Elfuda for her lack of discipline, then announces she'll also be staying at Tomotsu's apartment. Later, as Oida showers, Elfuda explains to Tomotsu that her aunt was her mentor, the one who trained her in combat. She adds that once Oida makes up her mind, no one can change it. Apologizing to Tomotsu, Elfuda admits that her aunt is likely here to bring her home. However, since she can't pass through the gate, Oida will probably give up and leave soon. She advises Tomotsu not to worry about the consequences for now and goes to sleep. Early the next morning, Oida finds Elfuda still asleep and pokes her belly. Elfuda screams in surprise, and Oida scolds her for sleeping with her stomach sticking out. She tells Elfuda to get dressed, and Elfuda groggily asks why. They head outside, where Oida sits inside a tire tied to Elfuda's waist, forcing her to push it. Oida yells for her to pick up the pace, but Elfuda cries out, saying she's too hungry to continue. Oida allows her a break and hands her some broccoli, explaining that she'll be controlling her portions and training her from now on. Starving, Elfuda eats without complaint. Oida orders her to finish quickly, saying they still need to run another 5 kilometers. Tomotsu watches from a distance, wondering what is going on. He recalls a conversation with Oida, where she told him that while he's kind, this world has made Elfuda soft and spoiled, turning her into a crybaby. Oida insists that from now on, Elfuda is her responsibility, and she will handle her weight loss her way. When Tomotsu questioned her methods, Oida pulled out a sword, warning him to back off. She tells him that if Elfuda stays around him, she'll never learn to stand on her own. Tomotsu watches the training session, feeling bad for Elfuda, but uncertain of what to do. Oida continues to be harsh on Elfuda, making her do all kinds of exercises, from push-ups to squats, and even forcing her to push heavy objects across the field. Tomotsu watches from a distance, feeling sorry for Elfuda, but knowing there's little he can do to change the situation. At one point, Elfuda slips away, hiding to sneak a few fries, but just as she's about to take a bite, Oida catches her and forces her to eat broccoli for dinner again. Later, Elfuda lies on the ground, panting from exhaustion. Tomotsu walks over and hands her a bottle of water. Grateful, Elfuda gulps it down. Tomotsu observes that even though she's losing weight, the diet Oida has put her on isn't healthy. Elfuda notices Tomotsu's troubled expression and asks why he looks so grumpy. She tells him he can share what's on his mind since they're friends. Tomotsu is surprised that despite everything she's going through, Elfuda is more concerned about him. You won't understand as you have never had someone care for you. Their conversation is interrupted when Oida arrives, telling Elfuda that her break is over and it's time to practice swordsmanship. Spotting the water bottle in Elfuda's hand, Oida narrows her eyes at Tomotsu but says nothing. She orders Elfuda to start with 1,000 swings. Elfuda picks up the sword but struggles, prompting Oida to scold her for doing it wrong. Elfuda complains that it's hard to train on an empty stomach, but Oida dismisses her complaints and tells her to stop whining. When Elfuda collapses to her knees from fatigue and Oida keeps pushing her to stand, Tomotsu finally steps in, placing himself between Elfuda and Oida. Oida tells him to step aside, but Tomotsu refuses, anger flashing in his eyes. He declares that Elfuda is his patient, and he will be the one to help her lose weight. Oida grips her sword, ready to fight, but Tomotsu stands firm, saying he had doubted himself after their earlier conversation, but now sees things. He tells Oida that breaking Elfuda's spirit isn't the right way to help her. Oida lifts her sword, preparing to strike, but Tomotsu doesn't flinch. Impressed by his resolve, Oida lowers the blade slightly but insists that his methods are still questionable. Elfuda interjects, telling Oida that Tomotsu's approach works. He's already helped her lose weight once before. She admits that the real problem is her own lifestyle. Oida, irritated, snaps that if Elfuda knows this, she should fix it. Elfuda apologizes and explains that she trusts Tomotsu. She says he has taught her valuable techniques, and if she's going to lose weight again, it will be under his guidance. Oida, surprised by Elfuda's determination, takes a moment to assess her niece's new attitude. Reluctantly, she agrees to let Tomotsu handle her training, and Elfuda thanks her. Before leaving, Oida hugs Elfuda goodbye and promises to report to her mother so she won't worry. She advises Elfuda to follow Tomotsu's guidance and build better habits. Tomotsu assures Oida that he'll ensure Elfuda healthily loses weight. As Oida steps toward the gate to leave, ice cream in hand as always, she suddenly pauses. When the gate doesn't open, she turns back, confused and wonders aloud why she can't pass through. Both Tomotsu and Elfuda glance at the ice cream and, in unison, say, "That's why." The next day, Oida begins her own intense workout, with both Tomotsu and Elfuda watching from the sidelines. As they observe, Kuroda strolls by and greets them. Curious, she asks what they're doing. Elfuda proudly announces that they've decided to join her aunt's training session. She stands up and strikes a pose, flaunting her slimmed-down figure in front of Kuroda. Stunned, Kuroda asks how Elfuda managed to lose so much weight. Elfuda playfully suggests that Kuroda should train with her aunt too, as she wants to look as good as she does. You, on the other hand, would need plastic surgery. Oida smirks and tells Kuroda that she wouldn't mind taking on another trainee. Flustered, Kuroda considers the idea, then pulls out a coupon for free French fries and hands it to Elfuda, hoping that she will gain some weight back. Overjoyed, Elfuda thanks Kuroda, saying she was wrong about her, and eagerly accepts the coupon. Tomotsu warns Elfuda that fries aren't part of her diet, but she brushes him off, insisting that one order won't hurt. It's just a little reward for herself. Using the coupon, Elfuda buys some fries, and as she walks past other elves, they gape at her transformation, stunned by how slim she looks. They whisper among themselves, commenting on how much better she appears. Oku, feeling envious, declares that she can't let Elfuda outshine her. Determined, Satoru decides to trick Elfuda into buying more fries. Disguising herself slightly, she tempts Elfuda by offering her a legendary mega-sized fry order. Unable to resist, Elfuda happily agrees and buys more fries. Watching from a distance, Satoru smirks, thinking to herself that if she can't be happy, Elfuda shouldn't be either. Meanwhile, Miro, Haneda, and Oku jog together in the park, where Hitome is chatting with Kobo. Kobo offers to sell Hitome a turquoise gemstone to make a necklace, insisting it's the perfect choice. Hitome likes the gemstone but balks at the price, asking Kobo to lower it. Kobo, thinking about how Cyclops can tell the difference between real and fake crystals, decides to milk Hitome for as much as she can by offering her a real crystal. Hitome lifts Kobo into the air and asks again if they have a deal. Annoyed, Kobo swings at Hitome, snapping that she won't drop the price just because they're friends. She's an entrepreneur after all. Their argument is interrupted when Oga arrives, and Kobo immediately tenses up, clearly scared. Furious, Oga accuses Hitome of trying to act like Kobo's mother. Realizing Oga is itching for a fight, Hitome puts Kobo down, saying they'll settle things later. Kobo, desperate, offers Hitome a 50% discount as she gets rid of Oga. Hitome reluctantly agrees, and the two prepare to fight. Oga taunts her, declaring it's time to find out who's the better mommy, but Hitome, confused, insists she has no interest in being anyone's mommy, she just wants the gemstone. While the fight escalates, Satoru once again tricks Elfuda into buying more fries. Elfuda, easily swayed, happily indulges. Back at Tomotsu's apartment, Oida and Kuroda train together, but Kuroda struggles to keep up with the intense regimen. Oida mocks her, reminding her that she volunteered for this training and now wants to quit. Suddenly, Gonda bursts in, asking where the Dragon Slayer is. Kuroda explains that Gonda calls Tomotsu the Dragon Slayer and asks how she got inside. Gonda demands warmth since it's cold outside, but Kuroda refuses, prompting Gonda to angrily accuse her of defying an apex predator. The argument quickly escalates, and Gonda attacks, tearing both Oida and Kuroda's clothes. Meanwhile, in the park, Hitome and Oga continue their fight as Kobo waits for her moment to strike so she won't have to give a discount to Hitome. When she finally jumps in, she gets knocked to the ground instead. Hitome and Oga pause, concerned, and warn Kobo not to interfere in fights unless she wants to get hurt. All three realize their clothes have been torn from the scuffle, so they decide to head to Tomotsu's apartment since it's nearby. When they arrive, they're surprised to find Oida and Kuroda already there, also standing around in torn clothes. Confused, they ask what's going on. Just then, Elfuda walks in, shocked by the scene. She bursts out laughing, teasing them about their bellies. Kuroda smirks and points out that Elfuda looks just as heady as before. Furious, Oida glares at Elfuda, realizing her progress has been undone. Later, at the clinic, Tomotsu, Oida, and Elfuda sit together. Tomotsu asks why Elfuda ate so many fries. Elfuda tries to explain, but Oida questions Tomotsu's methods. He calmly assures Oida that he will help Elfuda lose weight the right way. Akiho stands in front of the ocean, saying that no summer vacation is complete without the beach. She expresses relief that they decided on a spontaneous trip to a deserted island. Tomotsu, standing beside her, hesitantly agrees but grumbles about the swimsuit their boss gave him, complaining that it's too tight. He considers changing but realizes they're already late. All the others, Miro, Reika, Gonda, Oku, Koshinada, Alfuda, Kuroda, Honda, Oda, Satoru, Oga, and Hitome are also there, admiring the beautiful ocean and the perfect weather. Reika excitedly mentions that she can't wait to snack on some fish. Oida thanks the boss for taking care of her niece and the friends, and for picking swimwear for everyone. Your friends probably just forgot to invite you. Akio assures them there's no need to worry, as she was the one who invited them. She encourages everyone to start partying before the boat arrives to pick them up, and the group cheers with excitement. At the beach, everyone enjoys themselves. Kuroda struggles to fit into a pool ring and catches Alfuda and Oda watching her. She tells them to go ahead and laugh if they want. Meanwhile, Oga clings to Kobo, calling herself her mommy, and asking if she wants to build a sand castle, mommy issues at its finest. Kobo, visibly annoyed, mutters to herself that she's in hell, still better than being with someone like you. Kushinada and Hitone talk about how much fun they're having with the sand, but Oga possessively warns them to back off, declaring that Kobo only needs one mommy, her. Elsewhere, Miro, Akio, Reika, and Honda climb a large rock, preparing to jump into the ocean. Akio hesitates, asking if it's safe. Miro, overly confident, insists it'll be fine and gets ready to leap. Akio tries to stop her, reminding her that she can't swim in Herculean form, but Miro jumps too quickly, landing face first in the ocean and screaming. Seeing her in trouble, Honeda jumps in to rescue her, but quickly realizes she never learned to swim. Shocked, Akio asks why she would jump in the water. Turning to Reika for help, Akio finds her casually chewing on a crab, which only freaks her out more. Meanwhile, Gonda relaxes on a pool ring, floating beside Miro and Honeda, who bob helplessly in the water. Akio lounges on a beach chair, enjoying the peaceful vibe. However, beneath the surface, a squid observes them, grumbling about the noisy two-legged miscreants invading its ocean. It vows to purge them from its waters. On the beach, Tomotsu explains to Oda, Kuroda, and Alfuda how to use a stand-up paddleboard, SUP. He describes it as an aquatic sport that provides a full-body workout. They all try balancing on the boards, but suddenly each of their boards flips, and they start accusing one another of causing it when in reality it was the squid. Tomotsu is confused, knowing it's hard to fall off without effort. Just then, someone else falls off their board, adding to the confusion. On the shore, Miro, Akio, and Honda watch the chaos unfold and comment on how much fun everyone seems to be having, while they're still recovering from almost drowning. Honeda, now curious, expresses an interest in trying the paddleboards herself. Reika, meanwhile, is inspecting a baby crab when she spots what looks like a squid's arm emerging from the sand. She grabs it, only to be yanked into the ground. Screaming, she finds herself half buried on the beach. Miro, Akio, and Honda rush to help, but the squid pulls them into the ground as well, leaving only their heads poking out of the sand. Miro wonders if it's some kind of trap, but Honda suspects someone is deliberately trying to ruin their day. Reika finally frees herself, realizing her swimsuit is missing. Unfazed, she shrugs and starts digging to free Akio. The mischievous squid continues causing trouble, yanking Gonda off her pool ring and pulling others under the sand. Meanwhile, Oga is still on about being Kobo's mommy. She draws a large ring in the sand, challenging Kushinada and Hitome to a wrestling match, declaring that the last one standing will be the real mom since strength is what defines a mother. Kushinada opts out, saying she doesn't stand a chance, and Hitome, uninterested in the title, agrees to fight anyway, determined to settle their feud once and for all. The two giants square off while Kushinada lounges beside Kobo, wishing them good luck. When Kobo asks why she isn't fighting, Kushinada replies that taking on two giants would be suicidal. The squid, observing the giants from a distance, decides to stay out of their fight but soon changes its mind, eager to show off its power. Just as it prepares to attack, Tomotsu calls everyone to gather for a barbecue. Distracted by the call, the group leaves the squid behind. At the barbecue, the group marvels at the variety of food options. Tomotsu suggests they try the squid, noting it's a great option for those trying to lose weight. Akiho, having had too much to drink, is fast asleep on a beach chair. Tomotsu asks the group what they should do next. Elfuda grins, pulling out a box of French fries she brought just in case, much to Tomotsu's dismay. Satoru takes charge of preparing the squid but suffers an unfortunate wardrobe malfunction when her swimsuit rips. Embarrassed, she tries to cover herself, throwing the squid she was holding. It lands next to the troublesome squid from earlier, which becomes enraged at the sight of its kin being treated as food. Enraged, the squid rises from the ocean, grabbing the group with its giant arms. Kuroda identifies the creature as a kraken, warning that it's extremely territorial. She explains that it was once the king of the seas but was dethroned. The squid, offended, insists it wasn't ousted but simply had a cold on the day of the challenge and could have easily defeated his rivals otherwise. Tomotsu laughs, calling it a lame excuse, which infuriates the squid further. Elfuda tries to shoot the kraken with an arrow, but it has no effect. Frustrated, she admits she can't get close enough to fight it. Tomotsu, realizing they're outmatched, starts to panic, but Oida steps forward with Oga and Hitome, telling him to stay calm and watch their combat skills in action. Jokingly, she adds that they need a replacement squid for the barbecue anyway. Oga declares that whoever defeats the kraken will become Kobo's official mom. She and Hitome grab the squid's arms and begin dragging it toward the ocean. Reika bites into one of the squid's arms, declaring it delicious, causing the kraken to scream in terror and beg her not to eat him. Despite their efforts, the kraken laughs at their attacks, calling them child's play. It boasts that they stand no chance against the almighty kraken. Just then, Gonda arrives, realizing it was the squid that pulled her into the water earlier. Furious, she unleashes her dragon breath, blasting the kraken and bringing the battle to an end. With the kraken defeated, the group breathes a collective sigh of relief, glad that the chaos is finally over. Tomotsu suddenly wakes up, wrapped in Elfuda's and Kuroda's arms. Confused, he pulls himself up as the others stir awake a situation he would never be in. Kuroda immediately heads to the kitchen, asking Tomotsu why he didn't wake her earlier so she could make his lunch. As she starts cooking, Elfuda walks in with a towel wrapped around her and casually asks if anyone has seen her underwear. Embarrassed, Tomotsu tells her to put on clothes, using her full name. Elfuda smirks and mocks his formal tone, telling him to call her El like he usually does. Tomotsu, still disoriented, is surprised by her behavior. Kuroda notices and walks over, placing her forehead close to his to check his temperature. She says he doesn't seem to have a fever. Tomotsu awkwardly asks what she's doing, again using her full name. Kuroda corrects him, telling him to call her Chloe. Then she reminds him to hurry, or they'll be late for school. The three head out together, and as they walk, Tomotsu reflects on how strange the morning has been. Kuroda jokes that for a moment, it seemed like he'd forgotten about them. She asks if he didn't get enough sleep. Elfuda chimes in, reminding him that they promised his mom to take care of him while she's away at work. Tomotsu acknowledges this but points out that crawling into his bed is a bit much. Kuroda defends their actions, saying they didn't want him to catch a cold if he gets sick under their watch. His mother would be upset. Tomotsu remarks that they aren't kids anymore. Elfuda playfully pulls him close to her chest, teasingly asking if he's feeling frisky lately. She insists there's no reason to act shy since they've been friends since kindergarten. Tomotsu questions the kindergarten part but dismisses it, saying he feels a little off today. Suddenly, Miro sneaks up behind Elfuda and Kuroda, flipping their skirts. They both scold her, telling her to stop. Oku, Koshinada, and Hanada join the group, and Tomotsu greets them awkwardly. Koshinada and Oku notice his formal tone and ask why he's acting so distant. Tomotsu stammers an excuse, but before he can respond further, Reika, Sorero, and Hitome come running toward them, yelling that they're late. They crash into Tomotsu, knocking him over. Kuroda scolds them, reminding them how often she's told them to watch where they're going. As everyone gets back up, Elfuda jokes that it seems like their entire kindergarten gang is reunited. The sight of them all in uniforms makes Tomotsu feel like he's surrounded by an entire class. Later, the girls argue over who gets to stay with Tomotsu, all wanting to sleep next to him. Overwhelmed, Tomotsu asks them to calm down. Suddenly, the school bell rings and Elfuda, Kuroda, and Tomotsu realize they're late. They dash off, leaving the others shouting after them. In the classroom, the girls gather around Tomotsu's desk, arguing about who should spend the most time with him. Tomotsu sits confused, wondering why they're hovering around him, a scenario that short kings would never be in. Kuroda, sitting at her desk, tells everyone to cut it out and get back to their seats. Tomotsu thanks her and Kuroda, as class president, says it's her duty. The door swings open and Oda, their teacher, walks in. She approaches Tomotsu's desk and greets him, suggesting they skip straight to homeroom, just the two of them. Elfuda and Kuroda step in, furious, accusing Oda of preying on students. Oida argues that since she doesn't get to walk to school with Tomotsu, she's allowed to make up for lost time. Haitome and Satoru chime in, pointing out that none of them are getting any time alone with him either. Miro accuses Oda of abusing her power. The bickering escalates until Tomotsu pleads with them to settle down so they can start their lesson, and they agree. Later, as Tomotsu walks alone in the hallway, he wonders why everyone is so obsessed with him. Just then, Kushinada accidentally bumps into him, spilling water over herself and tearing her shirt. Embarrassed, she covers herself, and Tomotsu quickly offers her his blazer so she doesn't get cold. Watching this, other girls start pouring water over themselves. You should take notes for the next time you want your parents' attention, asking if they can also borrow his jacket. Tomotsu, increasingly confused, feels something is seriously off. Trying to escape the madness, he finds Kuroda feeding a puppy behind the school. Surprised, he comments on her softer side. Kuroda smiles, saying the puppy reminds her of him. When Tomotsu jokes that he deserves a treat too, Kuroda offers him a piece of jerky. As their hands touch, she leans in for a kiss, but they are interrupted, leaving Tomotsu even more bewildered. Later, the girls fight over who will have lunch with Tomotsu. Frustrated, he snaps, demanding to know why they're so obsessed with him. Elfuda calmly explains that it's obvious. They are all in love with him. Tomotsu is surprised to hear this. Elfuda asks if he has forgotten the promise he made to them in kindergarten to marry one of them. The girls accuse him of trying to back out of the promise, insisting it's too late to take it back.